Hi, it's Penny here, and today what I wanted to do is go back, have a look at my most anticipated book releases for 2021 last year, and see whether I actually read them, and if I did read them, did I actually like them, and were they actually what I expected them to be? So we're going to do this by rewatching the video that I made at the start of last year, or I think I actually made it at the very end of 2020 because I was organized back then. This year, I didn't make my anticipated releases video until like April or something, but 2021, look how organized I was, or 2020 maybe. Anyway, this is like a 20-minute video, and I think there were lots of books. I have a list somewhere, but I'm not sure where it is. Actually, I should make notes as we go about which ones I read, and we'll try and keep a tally. Let's watch the video. I can already see I've got crazy blue hair, which is exciting. I think I kind of prefer this color, but also I want to go more purpley blue maybe. Long-term plans. Let's look at our past plans for reading.
Hi, it's Penny here, and today I'm going to be talking about my most anticipated book releases for 2021. I actually tried to get 21 books on this list, but it hasn't worked out. I think there's 22, but close enough. Also, I'll admit that some of these aren't properly announced for 2021, but I feel like if I say I'm excited for them, that maybe they will be released. We're going to try anyway. So, let's talk about the books. So as always, first up we have the next installment of the Wayward Children series by Sean A. Maguire. This is the 6th book and it's called Across the Green Grass Fields.
Okay, so I did read Across the Green Grass Fields and like it was okay. I kind of went into this expecting to feel like it was too short, and it was too short. As well, I said something in there about Sean A. Maguire having good social commentary in this. In this one, I didn't think there was that much. In this story, it is about this girl kind of discovering that she's transsexual. And that was interesting, but it wasn't that much of the story from what I remember. It was quite a long time ago I read this now. But I read it. It was okay. I think it was pretty much what I expected. Let's track 2 things for each of these. Did I read it and was it what I expected? So, yes, I read it. It was what I expected. What was the next book? I'm worried that there's a lot of books here.
Oh, also on the 12th of January, we have Blood Air by Ilona Andrews.
Okay, Blood Air, I read it, of course, because this is a spin-off of one of my most favorite series, so of course I read it. And of course, I loved it. It was everything I expected from an Ilona Andrews book set in the Kate Daniels world. I was very happy with it. So, double tick on that one as well. I'm doing well so far. I think it goes downhill after a bit.
Moving on. Next, we have Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor.
I love these anticipated releases videos because I'm always like, and I'm excited for this book, and I'm excited for this book, for every book. Anyway, Remote Control. I read it, and actually, it didn't meet expectations. It exceeded them, although, weirdly, I originally read the physical book, loved it, 5 stars, amazing. Then I listened to the audiobook, not a fan for some reason. I didn't enjoy my reread at all. So, I don't know what was up with that. But, also, the synopsis everyone gives for this story is that she's like the daughter of death. And that's not really what it is at all. Like, some people do call her the goddaughter of death. But, like, it's more this girl who ends up gaining this really scary power. And she's kind of trying to figure out how to live her life as a result of that. And everyone else is kind of really afraid of her. But I did really like it, so we'll give it a tick for expectations because it did meet them in terms of me enjoying it. I feel like I should tell you what all of these books are, but if we do that, we'll be here forever, so I don't know. I'll consider editing this person's and I guess this person, this other me.
Then on the 2nd of February, we have the first book in a new series by Sylvain Neuvel, and that is The History of What Comes Next.
Okay, I didn't read this one. I wanted to listen to the audiobook because the other book series that Sylvain Neuvel wrote, I just said it on the video and I just watched it, but I've forgotten what it was called. Anyway, Sleeping Giants? Something. Anyway, that series, the audiobooks were really amazing, so I wanted to listen to the audiobooks of this and I was waiting for my library to get it, and it never got it. I haven't checked very recently, but maybe I checked not that long ago. So this is one where I still need to decide whether I want to read it physically or... because I think the library has it physically, just not on audiobook. Or maybe I want to buy the audiobook. I haven't decided. If you've read this one, I'd love to know, do you think it's worth it? I did also see some not so great reviews, but I'm not sure if I believe those not so great reviews, but maybe I should. Who knows? Next book.
Then on the 16th of February, we have The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey.
Oh, so I have read Echo Wife. I really loved it. What I'm wondering is whether this Penny that I'm watching had read anything else by Sarah Gailey, because I think when I finally read The Echo Wife, I'd already read some other things by Sarah Gailey and really loved them. So when I picked up The Echo Wife, I wasn't surprised at all to love it because I knew I love Sarah Gailey's writing style. But yes, I read this one. I loved it. It met expectations. It was about what they said it was about. I definitely recommend this one. One of my favorites.
Then on the 2nd of March, we have Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab.
So, I did read Bridge of Souls and I liked it. The only thing is, so I thought this was going to be an ongoing series, but actually I think this is the 3rd book and the series stopped after that, and Victoria Schwab has said that's all that she's writing for now. But I didn't feel like that stuff with the ghost best friend was wrapped up at all. Like, no. I can't believe that's the end. It kind of makes me annoyed if that is the end. But when I read it, I just honestly didn't even think that that was the end of the series, so I wasn't annoyed that the ending wasn't satisfying, because I was like, oh well, they'll continue that in the next book. But then they didn't. So it kind of met expectations, but then I learned that my expectations of the series have not been met.
Then on the 16th of March, we have one that I don't expect many other people will be excited about, but I am, and that is Last Strand by Jennifer Estep.
So, I didn't actually read this one. However, what I did do is buy it and give it to my mum, because my mum really likes this series, and I've pretty much bought all of the series for her, and then I read them. So I haven't read this, but partly because of COVID lockdowns, and so I haven't been able to borrow books from my mum, but also because I'm focusing on TBR Zero for my own books rather than TBR Zero for the books that my mum and my sister own that I want to read. That's a whole nother project that we haven't even talked about yet. But what I also have found out about this book is it is the last book in the series, which is actually mind-blowing because there is so much open stuff in this series. I can't see how she could wrap it up satisfactorily in one book. So I'm a bit scared to read it because then it'll be over. And will I be happy with it being over? I don't know. But I do have that on my Series 0 list, and so I'll be borrowing it from my mum at some point, and then we'll find out what I think about it.
Then on the 27th of April, we have The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson.
So, Box in the Woods was, in fact, a new mystery for Stevie to solve, and I really loved it. I don't know if it was just like where I was at in life, but I was listening to the audiobook on my morning and afternoon commutes, and I just flew through it. I loved it so much. I find Maureen Johnson's writing style, or the way she writes Stevie Bell mysteries, just really engaging. And I think as well it helps that Stevie feels very human and relatable, even at the same time as being like a genius solving these mysteries, like kind of Sherlock Holmes-ish, but like relatable teenage girl with anxiety. I really enjoy the series, and I know now that Maureen Johnson is basically just going to keep writing Stevie Bell mysteries. I kind of imagine for a while, but maybe it'll be same kind of thing as the Cassidy Blake books, and I'll be like disappointed that it's suddenly the last book. But hopefully Stevie will have a long career of solving mysteries and I can just enjoy them all, because there's another one coming out end of this year. So yes, this one I read and I loved it. Pretty much what I expected, I think.
Then on the 6th of May, we have Mr. Impossible by Maggie Stiefvater.
I think in the end, I ended up liking Mr. Impossible even more than I expected to. I definitely don't like that cover, but I don't mind the title. There's just a couple of characters in the Dreamer's Cycle that are amazing, and the concepts of like this dream magic, amazing. I love it. I love the way Maggie Stiefvater kind of sets up these really weird concepts and then puts these characters into this world where they're just kind of trying to live their lives. And I guess just in general, I love stories where you get this really weird foundation that means even weirder things can happen on top of it. And actually the 3rd book from the trilogy is coming out at the end of this year, and I want to reread the series before that comes out, because the end of Mr. Impossible had a moment which made me just rethink everything that had been happening. So like, I love the series. I definitely recommend it, even though I think I recommend it to a slightly different audience than the Raven Cycle, because it's less about the friendship dynamics and more about the magic. But the magic is so cool. And it is about how the magic affects people. It is. Anyway, I love this one as well.
Okay, then on the 15th of June, we have Sisters of the Snake, which is going to be the first book in a series. And what I like about this one is it's the typical princess and a street urchin look identical, and so they swap places type story. But this is actually written by twin sisters. So we're going to get this authentic twin experience, because I'm assuming that since they look the same, there's a reason behind that. Maybe they're twins, which would be really cool. Also, the cover is beautiful, so why not?
So the reason why I was excited for this one is the twin experience. However, in the story, they seem most of the time apart. Also, I don't know, it's YA fantasy is not for me, and this one in particular was just very unrealistic and didn't focus on things that I thought were interesting. The romances were all like that kind of rubbish stuff that I hate. I know some people like this book, but I hated it. I can't remember the details of why I hated it, but I know that I hated it. I didn't enjoy the experience at all. Luckily, I had it on audiobook. I just blasted through it at high speed. But there were some potential elements that were interesting, but it just wasn't the kind of story that was going to look at the actually interesting elements. So not for me, didn't meet my expectations. Really, I only added this one on because of the twin experience. But as I said, they weren't together, so you didn't get any of that anyway. And the whole book didn't feel like a genuine experience. So, sadly, no on that one.
We have Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff.
So, Empire of the Vampire. I did actually get this out of the library, and then it sat on my shelves, and I ran out of time to get to it, and I returned it. And then, oh, it's just started pouring down. Sorry if you can hear that. So, I had Empire of the Vampire. I didn't get time to read it. And then I kept thinking about getting it again. It's a very fat book. I know it's going to take me ages to get through it. And I'm just, more and more of what I hear about it makes me worry that it's not going to be a book that I like. I just think like kind of the violence and like the darker stuff seems a little bit like, I don't know what to say without seeming offensive. Like, it just seems a little bit try-hard to me. Like, oh, look, I'm so dark and edgy. And maybe it won't be like that. But I have this feeling that it's going to be like that. And that makes me not want to pick it up. Even though there are some signs that I would like it. I don't know. I'm sure I'll pick this up at some point. But it'll be a point when I have a lot more time. Because I look at how fat it is and I think, I don't know if I want to. If you've read it and you loved it, try and convince me down in the comments to read it. Or if you've read it and you didn't like it, also try and convince me not to read it. I'm stuck in the middle at the moment, and that's not getting me anywhere. So I need to be pulled to one side. Also, you can see we're getting to the part of the video where I'm doing less well, I think. I always start out so well at the start of the year and then go downhill from there. Anyway.
I don't know if I believe it, but supposedly on the 2nd of November, we're going to get the second book in the Crescent City series. Now,
we did get, I have read the second book in the Crescent City series, but did we get it in November? I don't think we did. Wait, let me check. No, I didn't think we did. We got it start of this year, and I have read it, and wow, I hated it. Let me just see what I had to say about it. Did I think I was going to like it? I don't think I thought I was going to like it.
When I read Crescent City, I didn't expect to like it, but I kind of did. I mean, there were a lot of things that were terrible, but I kind of almost liked it. Maybe. Regardless, I'm going to read the second book when it comes out.
Okay. I know I went into this feeling very hesitant about it. Actually, I did a reread of House of Earth and Blood just before I read House of Sky and Breath, and I loved my reread of House of Earth and Blood, which is what made it even worse when I hated House of Sky and Breath. But it kind of, you know what, it didn't meet my expectations. I expected it to be bad, but it was bad in ways that I didn't expect.
So firstly, the Monstrous graphic novel series.
Okay, so we did get another volume of Monstrous, and I read it, but I didn't do the reread that I normally do, so I feel like the plot hasn't stuck with me. And I almost feel like at this point, like, how long is the series going to be? Maybe I should just wait till the whole thing is done and then reread it. But anyway, I read this one, and it didn't meet expectations because the series is just beautiful, and it's the beautifulness that I like, even when I don't understand the plot.
The same for the Ascender graphic novel series.
So I have actually read volume 3 and 4 of Ascender now, so the series is finished off, which is a little bit sad that it was bit shorter than the Descender series, but at the same time, I didn't like Ascender quite as much as Descender. I did still like it, but I think if I'd only read Ascender, I definitely wouldn't have liked it because a lot of it was kind of playing on the fact that you really love the characters from Descender. But I had already read the beginning of Ascender, so I think I had a good expectation of what was coming in these final 2 books in the series. So I read it, and it was what I expected.
Okay, then next, actually in November, this kind of has a date. We've got Nowhere by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 3rd book in the Skyward series.
Okay, I read this. Nowhere ended up being called Cytonic, and it was released in November, I think. And it's not going to be a 4-book series, I don't think. I think it's going to be more, which is upsetting. I think I recently heard there was going to be 7. The reason why I say it's upsetting is because, wow, I hated Cytonic. It's not what I want the series to be doing at all. It's like every book is a whole new location, whole new set of characters, and it just gets stupider and stupider in terms of his world building. Like, maybe not stupider, I think sillier is the word I've been using, and silly is the right way to describe it. I think he's just trying really hard to be fun, create this fun world with all these fun things. I'm always trying not to spoil it, even though, honestly, at this point, I don't think I recommend the series, so that's very disappointing. Yeah, listening to myself talk more, he didn't deliver on any of the stuff I was hoping for. Even like the AI just got more silly rather than like continuing to be humorous in the way that I enjoyed. And the novellas, actually, if you want the friendship elements, you need to read the novellas. Maybe even don't bother reading the main books. Oh dear, Brandon, what have you done?
Okay, back to things that really have no date at all. We also have the 2nd volume of the Alex Stern series, so this still doesn't even have a title.
The 2nd book of the Alex Stern series didn't come out in 2021 as I was hoping, and it's not coming out in 2022 either, but it is coming out in January 2023. So at least I have a date, so I don't have to be too sad about it, but I didn't read this one, but it's not my fault because it didn't come out. I wonder how many of those there'll be on this list. Hopefully a few, because then it's not my fault that I didn't read them. I love being able to put the blame on someone else. That's not very nice, Penny.
Okay, also on my list, I reckon we are due for another book in the Saga series, Saga Volume 10. So a few years ago, the writers of that series decided to take a break. But when I was researching, I decided they've had enough of a break. They must be going to come back to things soon, right? And so I'm going to put it on this list in the hopes that that will force them into it.
Okay, so I can't force people to take shorter breaks, and as someone who's currently taking a break and doesn't want it to end, it's kind of ridiculous. So, this didn't come out. It is coming out the end of 2022, so I'll read it then. So I didn't read it, but again, not my fault. And like, honestly, if they want to take a break, good for them. Everyone should take a break. It's really nice. I recommend it.
Next on the list is Threads of Power by Victoria Schwab.
Threads of Power, something that Victoria Schwab is working on, but she hasn't released it yet. So this one as well, not my fault. Maybe all the rest of the books will be like this. There can't be many more, right?
I also heard that George R.R. Martin has promised Winds of Winter will actually be released in 2021. Do we believe this?
No, I don't believe it. I heard something again recently. I put it on my possible releases list again. I'll just keep putting it on there, I guess. I'm not even a big fan of Game of Thrones at this point. But like, it would be nice to get the next book. And like, I've gotten into audiobooks since I read the rest of the series, which I've been listening to audiobooks for ages. So that just shows how long we've been waiting for this book. But if the last one comes out, maybe I'll re-listen to the whole thing on audiobook, which I feel like would be an easier way to get through this series. Anyway, still not out.
Also, the other day on Twitter, I saw Sebastian de Castell announce that there is going to be a new book in the Shadowslinger world, or a new series in that world.
Okay, these did come out. I think he put out 2 books. I think there's just 2 books in this kind of spin-off series. And I currently have the first book out from the library on audiobook. I haven't got to it. I'm behind on my reading for the month, so I probably won't get to it next month. But I am about to start this series. So like, I didn't read it, but I'm close. So like, partial points. Also, I haven't seen anybody talk about these books at all, which is kind of weird. So I don't know what's up with that. Maybe they're terrible. That's kind of scary.
Okay, then we have A Flight of Shadows by Kat Howard. This was on my 2020 list because Amazon was saying that it was going to be released in June, and then I never found an announcement saying anything about it being delayed. However, it hasn't been released. Still, I saw Kat Howard the other day on her Twitter say that she thinks she's doing final edits for the book that she's working on, and I'm just hoping that the book she's working on is A Sleight of Shadows and we'll see it in 2021.
I'm confused because everything I just said there about it being delayed and there being no message, but then her saying she was working on final edits, I'm pretty sure that's what I said in my most recent book releases for 2022 thing. Because this book has not been released and we still don't really know when it's coming. It is coming, but has she just been doing final edits for forever? That makes me a little bit worried that it's not coming as soon as I was hoping.
And then lastly, we have one that I've just found out about recently. I couldn't find a date for it, but I'm sure there is one, and that is Losing Gravity by Cameron Hurley.
This one didn't come out either, and this is another one where I can't really find any updates on what's happening with it. And I honestly didn't remember that it was on this list. I thought it was just more recent that I'd heard about it. So again, this makes me worried that it's not actually coming out this year like I was hoping. That it really is just somewhere in the universe lost, and who knows when we'll get it. But anyway, once again, not my fault. Now I'll add up how we did. Okay, so I've run the numbers, and of the 22 books that I was hoping to read in 2021, 6 of them weren't even released, and only 4 of them did I not read. So that means I did better than the authors. Now, that's not entirely fair because some of these I just made up that they were going to get released in 2021. So maybe we're kind of even. But I think 4 books, missing 4 books out of 22 is not so bad. Is it 4 books out of, maths. 4 books out of 16. Oh no, that sounds worse. That means that a quarter of the books I didn't read. But 75%, that's an okay grade. So then, of the 12 that I did read, 3 of them were disappointments. Although at least one of those I expected to be a disappointment. But it was still a disappointment, So that's again, a quarter. So maybe we'll look again at the end of 2022 and see if I did better with my excitement over books. Was it also a quarter bad and a quarter missing? Anyway, overall, I don't think I did too bad. What I would be interested in is whether you try to keep up with new releases, and if you do, how does it go? Do you manage to do it? Do you actually manage to read them? And do you actually find that you like them? Because, of course, sometimes it's hard to predict whether you're going to like a book or not. Actually, a 75% prediction rate is probably okay when it comes to predicting the future, don't you think? Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. I'd love to chat with you. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.